Today, I'm going to give you the pros and the cons of living in South Florida. So stay tuned. Hi there, this is Gloria Heck, Remax Park Creek, and it is a beautiful day in South Florida. One of the things that some people hate about living in South Florida is the unpredictable weather. It is usually extremely hot and humid, and this is a wet, sticky heat that some people really can't stand. And the heat is constant year-round. Sometimes it can get scorching, especially in the summer when it can get up to 90 degrees here in South Florida. So this is one of the pros. You're also, during hurricane season, you're experiencing non-stop raining, and then you have to prepare for a hurricane. So you don't know if the hurricane is going to hit you, if it's going to be in your path. So you are anticipating and waiting, and everything you're doing is you're trying to prepare for a hurricane that may or may not hit your area. So it can be extremely frightening to live in a area where you may be hit by a hurricane and have devastation all around you. So this is one of the cons of living here in South Florida. One of the cons to living in South Florida are the bugs. Because we live in a wet, humid, tropical environment, there are bugs of all kinds. And the bugs that bother me the most are those pesky mosquitoes. They're constantly biting me. Whether I put bug repellent, Cinderella candles, Cinderella oiled infused tiki lamps, whatever I do, the mosquitoes seem to bite me. And they are especially bad after it rains and in the afternoon. So mosquitoes and other bugs are one of the cons of living in South Florida. Another con to living in South Florida is the traffic. It is a bitch. We live in a large community that is part city, part suburban, beach, and because it's such a desirable location, there are millions of people who live here. And South Florida really does not have a very good public transportation system. So during peak seasons, the traffic can get really bad. It is especially bad if you live in Miami. It can take you up to an hour to drive 15 miles. So the traffic can make you pull your hair out. And if you think the traffic is bad, some of these drivers are just as bad. So traffic is one of the cons to living in South Florida. One of the other cons about living in Florida is the Florida man. Oh my goodness. There are so many stories of the Florida man. It's almost like the Florida man is the moron. Sometimes it's embarrassing to say I live in Florida because everybody knows the Florida man. So, and they think, oh my goodness, the people from Florida must be really stupid because of the Florida man. And there's so many stories about the Florida man. So what about the story about the Florida man who was arrested for buying a Porsche with a check that he printed from his home computer? Or what about the Florida man who broke into jail so that he could hang out with his friends? Okay, here's the best one. The Florida man who was arrested, and he just happened to have syringes in his rectum, and he claimed that those syringes were not his. The Florida man. Well, besides these four negative reasons or cons of why you shouldn't live in South Florida, there are at least four good things about living in South Florida. And one of those things is the weather. We are in winter, and the weather here is absolutely gorgeous. While people are shoveling snow in the Northeast and other areas, we are soaking up the rays because it is a beautiful day. I always like to say it's another day in paradise. And the weather, the average temperature, while there's times where it can be unbearably hot, the average temperature is between 73 and 77 degrees. So one of the pros about living here is our fabulous weather. Another awesome thing about living in South Florida is the cultural diversity that we have all over here. You can hear people speaking in Spanish, in Portuguese, in Creole, in Hebrew, Russian, Mandarin, Arabic, so many different languages, because there's people from all over the world who live here in South Florida. And with all this diversity, you have such an option as far as foods are concerned. It's such a culinary melting pot of foods and cultures, and there's all different types of events that each culture brings, festivals and things like that. So the cultural diversity is one of the fabulous things about living here in South Florida. The third great thing about living here in South Florida is our beaches. There are 1,200 miles of beaches in Florida. So everywhere there is a beach, and at any given time you could be between, 15 to 30 minutes away from the beach. So you're always close to the beach when you live here, especially in South Florida, where we have some of the most beautiful beaches in the world here. And it's so wonderful to be able to go to the beach. Sometimes I like to go to the beach early in the morning and go running or go walking. My son likes to go swimming in the ocean early in the morning. You can go and spend a day just soaking up the sun, or you could sit underneath the boardwalk and enjoy some shade while still feeling some of the breeze through the beach. So the beaches here are so beautiful, and there are restaurants that are close by the beaches. And really, when you go to the beach, it costs nothing to go to the beach except for parking. And it's a great way to be able to spend the day and feel nature and experience a day in paradise. And the last thing that I love about living here in South Florida is there's always something to do. Because we have great weather, there's so many things that you could do. If you want to golf, you can go golfing. We're also the boating capital of the world here. So if you want to go on a boat, if you want to do a boat tour, if you want to rent a boat, if you want to go jet skiing, there kayaking, there's so many options that you can do outdoors. You can do hiking. There are all kinds of parks. There's the Murakami Museum. There's the Frost Museum. There is flower gardens. There's theater. There is exquisite culinary dining. There are so many things that you could do here in South Florida, and that is one of the fabulous things about living here in South Florida. And if you want to know more about living in South Florida, you can check out this other video that I've done.